welcome to the Town of Auburn Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, May 12th. No, it's not May 12th. My bad. Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcasted live by Local Access Programming. Is there anyone here in the audience tonight that is recording tonight's meeting? There being none, please rise and join us in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to remind the audience, applicant, town administration, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking questions in regards to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. The first item on our agenda this evening is 615 Southbridge Street. Is there anybody here representing? Yep. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening to the chair and to the members of the board. For the record, my name is Adam Baldarelli. I'm an attorney from Fletcher Tilton, and I'm appearing tonight on behalf of the applicant, Mast Futures LLC. Joined with me this evening are Mr. Garrett Horstal, the principal from Kelly Engineering Group, as well as Mr. Timothy Johnson, the owner of Mast Futures LLC. I prepared a brief slideshow presentation just to reorient ourselves.
Excuse me, do you mind pulling the mic a little closer to you? Yeah.
Is that better, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
I prepared a brief slideshow presentation for the board. I understand that my colleague, Attorney Todd Broder, was here at the previous meeting, which happened on May 12th, where he went over a background of what this project was. Also, to reorient the board, we received Zoning Board of Appeals special permit that happened in March of this year for the use of the indoor amusement, as well as a special permit rendering impervious more than 15% of the property. I will also note for the board that the Conservation Commission is ongoing, and we are appearing before them, I believe, tomorrow night. Just to show an aerial view, this was showed on the last presentation with Attorney Broder at the previous meeting. But you can see the parcel here. It is outlined in green, and on each side of the parcel are the abutting commercial properties. We have the Shell gas station, as well as the Golfers Warehouse and the Anytime Fitness on Southbridge Street here. This is the old site plan that was submitted to the board and was presented at the last meeting a few months ago. As you can see here, the board made comments in regards to several particular items. This proposed building was 17,860 square feet. There was a comment or comments from the board in regards to the garage had an alley-like feel, and that was something that we took into consideration after that meeting. In addition, parking was something that was discussed. It had 33 parking spaces, and there were comments and concerns that there weren't enough parking spaces, and the board asked for our team to try to increase parking if we were able to do so. So based on the board's comments, our team regrouped, and we looked at each of these items. We are pleased to report back to you some changes that we have made. This is an updated plan. This plan was submitted. This is a color version, but the site plan, updated plans were submitted to the board previously. As you can see here, we have reduced the building footprint. It went down from 17,860 square feet to 16,294 square feet, which is about a 1,500 square foot reduction. We have also reconfigured the parking garage and the garage alley access area. We have opened that up quite a bit. We have also added parking spaces in that area. So by reducing the building footprint and addressing the alley access here, we were able to actually reduce slightly some of the impervious area, but also add a total of 7 parking spaces. So we went from 33 parking spaces to 40 parking spaces, which is an addition of 7. It's my understanding that at the previous meeting, there was some discussion about speaking to the abutters in regards to using some of their parking and having an agreement there. I can report that there has been some discussion in that regard. Nothing has been finalized as of yet, but as I have just presented, we have increased our parking, and we feel that the addition of these parking spaces would be adequate for the use here as 615 Southbridge Street. This is just an image of the updated plans, which is what I just presented to the board, but just as a site plan. I think the color version on the previous slide was a bit more descriptive and could be seen more easily. I'll also go back here for a minute. Another comment that was made by the town planner was to encourage our team to incorporate some plantings on the property. So we have gone back, we have examined the parcel again, and we have added shrubs. We're required to have we're required to have 22 shrubs. We have 30 shrubs that have been added along Southbridge Street, closer to the road area. And I believe there are 9 trees that are required per zoning, and we have 6 trees there today. So we would be asking for a waiver for the landscape buffer in regards to that. But we had to be mindful of the driver's sight lines here on this lot for cars when they exited the property, and that was taken into consideration with regards to the plantings for the shrubs as well as for the trees.
All right, are there any?
We have received and reviewed comment letters. On June 2nd, our team responded to Graves Engineering, we were provided responses to their peer review comments. Part of that was that we performed test pits on May 7th. Our plans were also revised to incorporate soil and groundwater data, and those comments were provided to Graves. We did receive an updated comment letter from them later this afternoon. And the takeaway from that was that all of the comments from Graves have been addressed by our team. We also responded to the engineering division with the town DPW. We recognize that we will need to file for a land disturbance permit. That was one of their comments, and we certainly recognize we'll have to do that before we disturb any of the land. We also added a catch basin to the western parking area. And we also plan to add the riprap schedule sizing to the detail sheet. I understand it has been provided as part of sheet 5, but the DPW's comment was to add that to the detail sheet as well. And we can certainly do so. With regards to the sewer division and the water district, their comments were that we added a sewer manhole detail to the drop inlet. We also added a sewer trench detail, as well as sewer pipes were revised to carry 2% design slope. And so we addressed their comments from the sewer division. We also addressed comments from the water district. The town planner had some additional comments from us that we had time to review, speak to our team members about, and can report back to you. There was the suggestion to try and shift the accessible parking spaces as part of our property. I can report to the board that we have reviewed that, but as a result of site grading, it's just not something that's feasible for this lot. We have tried to maximize the use of our lot based off of the grading, and to change things up in that regard just was not a feasible option. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, there was a question about, well, how has the impervious area been affected as a result of these changes? We can report that there has been a decrease from 47.6% and to a slight reduction to 47.4%. There was also the comment to have a pedestrian connection from the site to Southbridge Street. Again, that was also examined by our team, but is not a feasible solution, something that we can do feasibly at this time. There was also the suggestion to add shrubs and planting, and as I just reported and showed to the board, we were able to do so with regards to shrubs but we would be asking for a landscape buffer waiver as well as part of our site plan approval application. So if the board has any questions, we have our team members here, and I can certainly answer any questions for the board.
Any questions?
First question, just a question. In the triangle in the back, above the yellow, is that the hill? Oh, okay.
Yes, that's a steep incline.
And you said you increased the amount of shrubs from,
Pretty much totally, yeah.
I just wanted to have you show us where that you put them. And I did notice when I was looking at it, on the right-hand side going in, there's a beautiful hickory tree. Be nice if you could leave that.
Hi, Garrett Horsfall with Kelly Engineering Group. So we did add about 30 shrubs along the street frontage. All of the trees are there today, and they're going to remain there today. They're on the frontage there, so there's that hickory tree you did mention will remain. We added an assortment of groupings of 6 along the frontage. They're set back far enough just to be out of sight lines at the entrance. We have a couple daylilies just to add some
We
color.
just like the frontage especially to be pretty.
Yep,
And
so we've
well
added,
maintained.
yep, we've added about 30 shrubs along there, and also there's also planting shown at the front facade of the
The
building. as well.
existing trees are gonna stay.
Correct, yes.
The other thing is, how many stations are you having for the golfing? 10? And you got 40, how many parking spaces?
There's 40 spaces now.
You feel that's adequate? That's 4 spaces per thing. And then you're gonna have employees. How many people will be in each golf thing at once?
Could you please go to the mic if you're gonna respond? No, I don't mind if you respond, just go to the mic.
I heard him.
I can answer that. Be between 1 to 4 for each golf simulator slot.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Marcus?
Adam, has Board of Health reviewed the proposal for foods? Because we have food service, kitchen, bar, right? And I don't know if there's a grease trap.
So there was a departmental meeting several months ago, and the Board of Health was there. The menu that is proposed and will be refined with the Board of Health is not going to require a grease trap. To my knowledge, it's appetizer style in an air fryer. But that menu will be coordinated with the Board of Health, and they're well aware that nothing in terms of a full service kitchen will be provided that needs a grease trap.
Through the chair, Rose Russell, town planner. Cash, if I could understand, they will need Board of Health, but I'm not sure if a grease trap will be required. I would defer to the Board of Health, but I don't think they would do permitting with them prior to approval by this board.
Then one more question on the handicap spots. So can you explain again why we cannot move it to the other side, to where the ramp is?
Certainly. So when you come in from the site, we have sort of a level area there, and the topography that Mr. Brooks referred to before, back of the hill, we're trying to get the building up as high as we can. So we come in, and then we start to ramp up to the right in our parking lot grading, which is why the steps are at the front of the building. So we're about 4.5% in the parking lot slope, which is the max that we'd like to design for parking lots for accessible purposes. So the spots are at the level area in front of the building, but we have a sloped walkway up to the ADA access ramp at that point. So that extra elevation helps us get about a foot of clearance and helps with the building design overall and the elevation of the building.
If you added extra spots on the right side of the building, right? Could we make some of those to be ADA spots?
So those are designed as compact spaces, and the architectural access board has certain space dimension requirements, so they need to be standard space size for those spaces. So those are compact spaces that we have provided over there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The house itself that's on the premises now, is that already in the process of being demolished, or, because I see there's some work being done to it?
Tim Johnson, Mass Futures. We had donated to the fire department for their training services, so that's why it's kind of looking like a mess. So they went in, they tore the roof and the windows just to practice on training.
So they,
So that's why it looks the way it does now.
Sounds like free labor.
it's funny. I love it.
No questions.
First and foremost, I do want to say thank you for working with us. I know it takes a lot to go in and redesign the building, so that goes a long way with me. So we appreciate that, and increasing the number to 40 parking spaces. And I still do appreciate the collaborative effort of working with Golfers Warehouse to provide additional parking spaces. My biggest thing right now is honestly, I just want to make sure that during construction, I see you have the silt fence detail, silt sack details to protect the existing wetlands and vegetation. I want to make sure that that remains. Preservation of what you're not disturbing is going to be key for me, and that's the conversation I'll also have with Gary about making sure that happens. Outside of that, I would like to see the updated lighting drawing. Is that, I didn't see it in here.
So we wanted to make sure the board was comfortable, obviously, before releasing the architect to update the elevations of the building, but the lighting plan will essentially be the same. There was a wall pack on that side of the building. It's just going to pull in, and all the poles would stay in the same location, but we can certainly submit an updated lighting plan for the record, which would have no further impact than what was previously presented.
To the town planner, do you have any other concerns that you want to highlight here?
Through the chair, I don't know that I have any other concerns. I'm happy to see that they've agreed to provide some additional plantings. In your packets, you don't have a plan that shows that. It was a late update that they made in addition to the Graves and DPW letter that came in today. They were pretty last minute, but they both indicated all their concerns had been addressed. So I'm happy to see that. I would just ask that the board include a condition that the applicant provide a revised photometric plan and revise elevation drawings. And of course, I wanted to encourage them to provide a pedestrian connection, but I certainly understand the concern and the feasibility on site with not being able to provide that. So from my perspective, I think I'm all set.
To the town planner, I think, yes, we'll get the lighting, but I'm personally concerned a little bit with the pedestrian connection to Southwood Street because there's no sidewalk on that side. So we'd be sending people out in no man's land.
Through the chair, I think, not everyone's coming to the site by car today. If any folks would be coming to the site by bus, by bicycle, having a dedicated pedestrian path so they're not walking through the driveway, because most folks probably will be coming to a golfing simulator by car, but even though there's no sidewalk there today, there could be one in the future, and I think it's just good practice to encourage pedestrian networks anywhere we can, so regardless of the sidewalk.
Do we have to then have a crosswalk there to connect to the sidewalk on the other side of the street?
Through the chair, I don't know if this would be the best location to provide a sidewalk. I'm not sure how they're spaced in the section of South Bridge Street, so there may be a better location.
When you, I don't think it's a good idea to have a crosswalk across Southbridge Street in that area. That would be a liability for everybody. And, but if you, in case you do have some parking on the other property where the fitness is, if you set where the property line is and you got the landscape, or like a landscaping strip there, if you could set it back a little bit or have a walkway there in case when the people going parks, set back 10 feet off the road or somewhere within that landscaping barrier so that people aren't close to Southbridge Street.
We'd definitely be open to that. I think the only issue is that Golfers Warehouse is more owned by a larger corporation, so getting the answers weren't as quick as we were kind of hoping to get. And then the landowner, because they leased that property, so we'd have to work through that, but I think their parking lot goes right to the edge of the line, so I do believe that if that's possible and we can make it happen, absolutely, that's no
Yeah,
problem.
How, you got a fair strip it looked like. I turned around in there today.
Yep.
And it's a little bit of a strip where you have the landscaping strip.
Yep, yes.
And you know what I mean by just across.
Oh, absolutely.
Through it, so they're not out near the street.
Yeah, we want to welcome as many people in as possible and make it easier for access, but we just don't want to overstep our bounds and, get in an argument with a neighbor. So if we can make it work, absolutely, that's a non-issue in my opinion.
I'll entertain a motion to close this hearing. Is
I'll make the motion.
there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
I am an aye. I will entertain a motion to approve the site plan with the conditions that we receive updated updated elevations as well as updated photometric drawings.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, you approve? We're trusting you in good faith. We're really concerned about pedestrian traffic there. You guys do a lot of work here in town, and we want to work with you, so we hope you work with us, and our good faith is not misplaced. All right, cool.
And just one thing, just for the record, Mr. Chair, have the waiver request, has the board allowed the waiver requests?
I'll entertain a motion to approve the waiver request.
Let me,
Waiver request for the tree?
just,
Landscape buffer. Just for the trees.
For
Just for the trees, Mr. Chair.
I'll entertain a motion for a waiver, to approve the waiver request to waive the number of trees needed for the specific property.
Second
Through the chair, if I could ask you to include a waiver that a landscape plan be prepared by a landscape engineer instead of a landscape architect. I'm sorry.
So you're asking for,
An additional waiver for the landscape plan.
so how do you want me to word this? Let's get it all right.
Yep, I would recommend you amend the motion to include two waivers. One, to request that a landscape plan be accepted, prepared by an engineer instead of a landscape architect. And then second, that they are allowed a waiver from the buffer zone planting requirements.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, what she said.
Amend.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm an aye. You're good to go, gentlemen.
Thank you to the
Sorry,
chair.
that was a
Thank you to
mouthful,
the members of
you
the
know?
board. Thank you.
No, it's all right. It's not your fault. Next item of business is a definitive subdivision of Stonyville Estate, Helens Way, 88 Wallace Avenue. Request for security determination.
Through the chair, I can give a brief update. We don't have a substantial update to give to the board tonight. As you'll recall from the last meeting, we had the property owner here, and they had requested that the planning board set a bond amount. We received an email from Graves this afternoon with an estimate for the work. We haven't shared that with the applicant yet because it came in this afternoon, and we're planning to meet with DPW on Thursday to get more guidance from them moving forward. We just don't have any updates tonight, so it'll probably take some time if we do move forward with the Graves estimate. But we need to confirm that with the applicant that they wish to move forward with it.
Thank you. All right, next item of business is signing the decisions on 282 Southbridge Street.
At some point, we should ask.
Why is she here? Okay. Okay. All right. Do we take our comments? No. Okay. All right. All right, next up, we have the approval of the minutes from the May 12th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 12th meeting.
I second.
Second. Who made the motion?
Nobody-
You jumped the second in.
I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes for both.
Just do one at a time.
Oh, okay. May 12th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then approved. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the May 26th meeting.
I make the motion to approve the minutes for May 26th.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Who seconded?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 I am an aye. Minutes are approved. Next order of business is reorganization of the board. Town planner, do you want to handle that?
Sure, through the chair. It's that time of the year again, so we're asking the board to take a vote on who they'd like the chair and the vice chair to be. We can have a discussion on it before we have a vote. Any way you'd like to proceed is fine. Chris wasn't able to make it tonight, but he's okay with it moving forward without him.
So to the board, I will be formally stepping down as chair of the board. Due to work obligations, I'll be actually stepping down temporarily from the board. And so I think this is a good opportunity to good timing to reorganize and select a new chair of the board. Is there anybody who's open and would like to be the chair?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Ronald Brooks to be our new chairman in the interim until you return,
I appreciate it.
if you return.
If I return.
Second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm an aye. Addition,
Nominate Glenn Feldman as vice chairman.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I am an aye. Congratulations, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
All right, next up is a discussion. Peer review update. Congratulations. Yes, Dorcas was the second on that. Thank you. No more.
Yeah, so last item on our agenda tonight, we're hoping to talk a little bit more about peer review services. As the new planner on board, I haven't had a ton of experience working with Graves in a peer review capacity, so I was just looking for more feedback. Paul and I have discussed this afternoon, and we've come up with a list of other engineering firms we could seek out for peer review services, but we're trying to understand a little bit more where the concern is coming from, if it's a timeline issue, if you're looking for someone in addition to bring on board to have, at this time, we don't have any applications in the queue to get quotes for. So we're a little hesitant to reach out to folks until we have work to bring them. So I hope that makes sense, but really, is it like a specialty firm are we looking for, like someone to bring on for traffic reviews specifically, or things that this certain firm can't provide that we're looking for? So I think personally, I'm looking for a little bit more guidance so we don't run into this issue again. And then, yeah, we have compiled a list. So if we do get another application, we could certainly move forward in another direction. But we just don't have anything in the pipeline right now.
Well, Rose, in the past, we've had Graves, we had this BHB, we've had someone similar. What I would like to see is someone similar to Graves. And get like at least 3 people that we can pick from, so it is not always Graves that we're looking at. And if it gets into anything that's above and beyond, then we can request somebody, because we have the right to ask for a peer review, and if it's something specialty, or if we are lacking any engineering people and we need something, I think if you could look at that, I think I'm not sure if I asked you, but look at that. Do we have the ability to request that the applicant pay for a peer review of an engineering study on a particular application if we aren't able to be familiar with it? So some other people, similar to what Graves does, and then just that question, how much can we request of a peer review? You know what I'm saying? I'm not that versed on all the engineering. I don't know about any of you guys. But can we ask for an engineering peer review purely? When we don't know what kind of a project we could get. We could get something big. We need to have somebody that knows what they're doing.
I think, Rose, town planner, I think the request really is to have just an alternate option. We tend to lean towards Graves as our primary engineering source, and just the ability to get diverse opinion from a third option. In my time on the planning board, I don't think we've even used VHB as much as we've used Graves. So just kind of changing it up a little bit. I know Graves is comfortable as the town planner. I think we just want to mix it up a little bit.
Bruce, what is the process for us to send anything to for peer review? Is it, because the applicant essentially just request for quotes? Or do you request quotes on behalf of the applicant, or do we just send it to Graves directly?
That's a great question. As of now, I'm not sure if it's something prompted by the planning board. We'll typically send a request to Graves for an estimate of the work to be done, such in the case as the earlier item on our agenda for 88 Wallace Ave. We requested the board authorize us to move
We,
forward.
as the board, may request it at times over these. We would request it, but a lot of times Adam or whoever was the planner had already seen that it was going to need to be reviewed and just made that choice.
I think if I could talk a little bit about our schedule, I think it may be a mitigating factor to some of the concerns we have. The schedule we have right now, it's going to slow down a little bit in the summer, but right now, if you submit an application on a Tuesday, we have to advertise it for a meeting by that Friday, and then it's on the schedule in 2 weeks. So it's a really quick turnaround from submitting an application to it making its way onto the agenda, and then being on the back-to-back 2-week schedules. It's really not sufficient time for staff or engineers to provide a review. And in this case of the last item we heard, it's just not enough time to get stuff in the Thursday before a meeting when you're 8 or 9 days out from the last hearing. So I think some of the frustration or the slowness is coming from it's just too quick of a timeline for folks to manage. I'm not saying we won't face that issue with other firms, but I think maybe that could be, if we rethink our schedule for the next year, something may improve continued items or people not ready to move forward. But if you would like to go back to the board authorizing in every event, we can do that. I'm more than happy to take ownership of when I think it's appropriate or consult with DPW. I know they've been providing a lot of comments on larger applications when there's stormwater implications, so we could rely on them as well.
I don't think we need to get to the point where we are approving every authorization. I think you have the agency to act on behalf of the board or in the board's best interest. And maybe that is something that we revisit, right? Realistically, to do a peer review within 9 days is, depending on the size of the project, is a very fast turnaround. I think it's beyond just the turnaround time. It's just honestly just to get a different set of eyes. And I think the summer really is a perfect time to possibly explore a different firm because we are slower. We're not necessarily moving away from Graves and getting away from them forever. It's just more so just to have a different option.
I think it's absolutely reasonable if we want to throw somebody else into the mix. Like I said, we don't have anything right now, but the next thing that comes up, we could definitely consult, and the board can evaluate, what they've seen before from our current engineering firm, and then what we get from another firm. So I definitely take the feedback, and I think it's reasonable to ask for another set of eyes.
When say for example, an application comes in and we define that, well, there is definitely a need for a peer review. You then reach out to Graves. Do they give you a quote, or do they basically start the work automatically?
I think the ideal situation is they provide us a quote for the services, and then we ask the applicant to provide a check for that amount, and then they move forward. I think they probably, in a lot of cases, will give us a quote and start working on it like pretty quickly.
So it's not a flat rate and it's not like preferential pricing, right?
I don't believe so.
So to me, there's no reason as to not look at a third party and see what's out there.
Options on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other piece is for specialty pieces, for example, traffic study. That is definitely useful to have a peer review. However, we've learned that I think there is, we will have to have the capability to not accept what the peer review is providing based on our own experience. I think that's one of the contentious topics.
What we'll have to do is, I think, really look at it before requesting it. Because it might be hard not, if they knew, if it went to court and they knew that we had done.
I want us to be very careful. It's a slippery slope. If we send something to peer review, we're asking for a professional engineering judgment.
Yeah.
We cannot
Not
Then-
discard that.
We cannot discount that. Yeah.
act of our own
Yeah.
volition. Right?
So it would be a problem, so we just think it out a little more and talk about it before we do
We
that.
send it out to peer review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's something for the board. That's not necessary.
Yes.
And the other one, we had one, and then we got a second one.
Mhm.
Yep.
The other one was the
I would refrain from discussing any
Yes.
other.
Yeah.
All right?
And the other thing, the last thing is to Ron's point. I think if there is, if there is additional engineering support that we would want, because we might not all be experts in, say sewer systems, right? So it might be helpful to have your eyes or someone else that you think might be helpful as well.
Yeah. All right. Just moving forward to the next item on the agenda. No new business unforeseen by the chair. Is there a member or town planner update?
I do have a quick update. We are looking at moving some of our upcoming meetings around in June and July. We have some zoning bylaw stuff coming our way, and we're hoping to just shift one of the upcoming meetings to be able to get it on the agenda for town meeting in the fall. So we're hoping to do, I'm looking for everybody's availability for a meeting on July 21st, July 28th, or August the 4th. We would be shifting one of our existing meetings, so not adding a new one to the schedule. So just shifting. I don't need an answer now, but if everyone could let me know their availability.
I'm available any of those days.
I am as well.
21st is open on my end. Yeah. 28th maybe not. But
Did you send them to us, Rose? Did you?
Nope, but I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you could
it
just email those out.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Everybody reply directly to her.
Chair, can I?
Yep.
One more topic of discussion. So, can we add, is there any way where we can bring in language that can be added to our bylaws? I was thinking of something, I can't recall, like there were two items that I was thinking of that might be helpful for us to discuss as a board and then add that to the bylaws. That way we don't fall into the trap that we might have fallen in the past. I will send that as a note out to the team, maybe to you, planner, and then you can send it out to the team. So,
Yeah.
can we make changes to the bylaws or recommend?
You were talking about the zoning bylaws. So the process is that the planning board has to have a hearing. We would post a version of the text. The planning board would hold a public hearing, make a recommendation to the select board, and then they would make a recommendation for it as a warrant item. So you're not the final say, but certainly the planning board is like the important role in putting that together. We also have a zoning bylaw review committee. So it's definitely something we can put our heads together on and bring to that committee, or have an initial hearing here before it goes for like a full written bylaw amendment.
I think one of the pieces that I was thinking of was, some of the planning, some of the site plans we've seen where properties only have one entrance and exit to vehicular traffic. I think it would be helpful to have either two or dedicated entrance and exit. But that's something I can propose as well. We can discuss that.
Yeah.
Full support.
Cool. All right, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Shoot. Oh, Jason. Oh, Miss,
Yes?
do you have something you wanted to talk to the board about?
Well, I was hoping, but I guess the meeting was, what was it called? Closed for public comment?
No.
Which meeting?
Regarding 88 Walnut Ave, also known as Helen's Way.
Because they weren't here, it would,
Say,
the applicant. So we did not discuss it, so it's not closed. It's actually not a public hearing, it's just discussion. Do you have a comment on it? But the applicant is not here.
I do. You want me to come up?
Yeah. Just state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. Jennifer Steinberg, 36 Wallace Avenue, where the property is located.
Yep.
Okay. So are you Miss Russell? Hi. So neighbors of mine were outside a little bit before 7 p.m. and they were told that a decision had been made to approve Mr. DeLawless's request to adhere to the plans that were approved 20 years ago. So I was just curious, when I heard the comment regarding that a few moments ago, it sounded like that wasn't the case.
We didn't.
This is yes, we did approve it because he did have the approvals from the previous town board, and the town bylaws had not. Yeah, we did make the decision, and the town bylaws, which create a limit to when a project has to move forward, was not in effect at the time. So we have to honor the approval.
Like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When it was done, and there wasn't any substantive changes. And I think, didn't we have them adhere? There was a couple of things we had them change, but I thought.
Conditions was we asked that he bring the road as close to town standards as possible, and it was, we approved Graves Engineering to take a look at providing us a quote for the security determination for the bond.
Through the chair, so just some procedural items. This hearing was first opened, or it wasn't opened, but it was discussed at the last planning board meeting. This applicant has a subdivision plan and approval that is valid today, and they've requested that the planning board set an amount for a bond. So there's no approval that the board is granting there's no approval for the project the board is granting, but they would be granting, or they're accepting a bond. So at the last meeting, the applicant requested, they set a bond amount, and the planning board had asked staff to get an estimate for the cost to obtain a bond estimate from a third-party review team and to discuss the plans with DPW. So I'd advise the folks not to waste their time because we weren't going to discuss it tonight. It's not a public item, or it's not a public hearing to take testimony on. It's a request from the property owner, the applicant, for the planning board to set a bond amount. So
that's still in the works, a bond amount has not been set? Because I did watch the meeting where the board said they didn't want to go to court with Mr. DeLawless, which I understand, but when you live on the street and you see the traffic, there's actually no way you can actually add sidewalks. What my neighbor, Mr. Craig, was hoping to talk about was because the right-of-way across the street from where this property entrance is located. You'd actually be, I don't know the right terminology, but you'd essentially be taking the property owned by the folks that live on the right side of the street to add those sidewalks. I don't really understand how, if his plan was approved 20 years ago, how there's still validity 20 years later when everything has changed. Technology, like everything has changed 20 years ago. There are more residents on the street, the sewer system, everything has changed on that street in 20 years. There's so much more traffic. Over the weekend, there were a lot of graduation parties. There were cars parked on both ends of this street. This is the end closer to Berlin, which is a lot more congested than I live at the very other end. This doesn't really directly impact me. I'm more thinking about my neighbors whose houses are very congested there, whose kids ride their bikes in the street where there are no sidewalks anyway. I just don't understand how something that's maybe approved 20 years ago with less traffic, with possibly smaller school buses and smaller fire trucks and smaller, EMS that can easily fit into spaces, how all of that still stands. Last weekend, when there were cars parked on both sides of the street, I wanted to call the non-emergency number for the Auburn fire truck to actually come down the street because it wouldn't have been able to make it. And that's with the residents who live there now. So adding any extra housing, I understand Mr. DeLawless wants to make money off of this, but, the neighbors on the street and I have talked about, well, what will be the cost of this property? Because clearly he'll make a ton more if he's renting the property to people. If he sells it outright, he will lose money. But we're interested in if the street could purchase the property, what does that cost look like? And then we would make it conservation land. I don't know if you're called chairperson, sir, in the middle? Okay, because you had made a comment about this golf group over here, and you had said something about, you really are concerned about protecting wetlands. So I encourage you to go to Wallace Avenue and take a walk up there, and you'll notice wetlands. It's nestled in the woods there. There's a lake behind. I just, it's hard when you live on the street and there are people who make decisions for you that aren't impacted directly, So that's all.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for, being here and being a concerned citizen. And I think this is part of why the bylaws were changed to create that 2-year limit. But that didn't go into effect, I believe, until 2010. And so unfortunately, legally, we're still bound by the decisions of the board of 2007. And so therefore, we have no standing to tell him that he can't build that. You as a private citizen could reach out to him or a group of citizens and see if you guys can work a deal. But from this chair and from this board, we just don't have the legal standing
I see.
to not have him build that. You may be able to bring up some concerns with DPW if and when they go to build and the ISD department, you have concerns about wetland, but from this chair, from this board, we don't have the standing to be able to say you can't build that. But some of the points that you brought up is what we brought up as well, and I believe that is why the bylaw was created.
So we'll protect future bad guys who just want to do wrong to a community. We can't go back in time, though, and fix this.
I can neither call nor anybody.
I know you can't comment, but, I appreciate that now there are those bylaws to protect people for the future. It's awful that, this is going to be able to move forward. Are you able to comment on, the next date for some kind of hearing when the, DeLawless or his group will be present for some kind of a meeting? And is it going to be a public hearing or public meeting?
Our next meeting is June 23rd. It is not a public hearing, so the board's not required to take any testimony on the item.
People could be here and listen, but not make comment. That's on June 23rd?
People can get up and speak.
It's not.
It's just,
It's not a public.
No,
As citizens, you could always get up and speak, but it's not a public hearing to directly address this. So it might be at the end of the meeting where you could speak or, but the person, Mr. Lawless, may not even be in the room anymore. No, he doesn't have to be here to listen to testimony.
But I guess if this is still being televised, the hope is that enough people in town will hear the public comment from the townspeople who are here, and maybe that will cause them to, to respond. Okay, so that's on June 23rd at 7 p.m.?
Yep, that'll be 7 p.m. Let me give you my card in if you want to
I think
reach
I
out
have
after.
it. I sent you an email during the meeting, so, okay, all right. Yes?
Yeah, one of the other things is, a while back, they came before us with a proposed 40B project for that. This 9-lot subdivision is a 10 times better alternative than that proposed 40B. It's probably not under pressure right now because the town has made a deadline on some of that thing, I think, Rose, but it could come back up again if they reset quotas and stuff like that. And if that would have gone in, and that one, we don't have any control over. It wouldn't have been nice.
So the 40B housing, which I think is only 10% of the housing within the property.
There's some formula. and I
Right.
think it's, whatever it is, it's gone for now, for that site.
So instead, he has the approval as of right now to build 9
9 lots.
lots, which essentially are 9 single-family homes. And so I assume the town inspects and oversees that they truly are single-family homes?
Yeah. So,
We'll
construction
check the
plan,
application.
I'm happy to provide all the original application materials and plans.
and all that still has to go to the building department and all that. So it's not
Not a done
free for all.
deal.
Yeah.
And it's not a done deal yet, essentially.
What he decides to do is what he decides to do, but he still has to go to the building department and several other departments.
Just saying, the 9-lot subdivision is a much better alternative than the 40B.
We'll see how many cars those 9 lots of single-family homes, with buses and things like
Well,
that.
you can figure they're all
School
gonna have
buses.
probably four to six car trips a day between each family. I mean, they go in, they come out, and they all got 2 cars, and then they might go out for work, come in from work, and then maybe go out at night to the store or something like that, so probably 6 car trips a day, but the 40B, I forgot, do you remember anybody how many units it was?
It's 130,
130 units.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I get it, but, double-edged sword either way you look at it. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.